Every time I told any of my European friends that I was going to come here to Moldova for a full month, I heard that I was crazy, that the country was poor, that I would have nothing to do and would get bored here. However, after 1 week hanging out in Chisinau, I'm going to share my first impressions about the country with you in this video. And check this out, they even have their own Arch of Triumph here. When I got in the city, I arrived here in the bus station. I didn't like very much around there, but let's be honest, every bus station all over the world always looks awful. And then I took a walk to the city center, that is the place that I got my Airbnb. And when I got here, well, take a look around. Big surprise, it doesn't look poor, it doesn't look awful, it doesn't look weird at all, it's actually pretty beautiful. This place has surprised me so much because whenever you search anything about Chisinau or Moldova on Google Images, Google Street View, you don't find much. There isn't much about Moldova out there. You have to come here and see. And what I saw when I got here was this. Beautiful gardens, beautiful buildings, extremely well-dressed people. Sometimes I feel underdressed here with my few digital nomad variations of outfit, while people here, they kind of get dressed like Italians. They really know how to put an outfit together, and to be honest, doesn't really look like the poor Europe that everybody told me about. It's actually quite nice. And of course, I know that I can't judge an entire country just because the city center of its capital looks nice. And even the city capital is not all like that. I know that they have Soviet blocks around here, those old communist neighborhoods, and I'm going to see them, I'm going to show them to you. However, in this video I'm focusing on my first impressions, and I have to be honest, it's a very good first impression. But of course, not everything is perfect. The first problem that I noticed here was the language barrier. Of all the European countries that I visited, Moldova is the least ranked one in English. So by far, this is the country that I've been having the hardest time talking to people in English. Of course, there are lots of people who are fluent in English here, but usually people in the supermarket, in the bakery, in the pharmacy, in the restaurants, they struggle a lot with English. So I would say that the average citizen doesn't really know much English. When you go to Romania and Bulgaria, you have a much easier time talking to people there in English. So it's not that you're going to never find somebody to talk to here if you don't know the local language. However, you're not going to enjoy as much as you would in other countries. About the costs of the trip, I would say that Airbnbs, they are not the best around here because they don't have too many options. So the few options that they have, they are not so cheap. But on the other hand, you manage to get Airbnbs 2 blocks away from the main square, which is precisely where I am. And in all the other capitals that I've been to, when I wanted to be more on the budget, I had to live in neighborhoods that were a bit further from the city center, 30-40 minutes by bus. And here I can just walk 4 or 5 minutes and I'm here in the main square of the entire country. So that's very convenient, that's actually a plus. And about food, it's super cheap. And here's one thing about food here, it's the best food in the Balkans. I'm not so sure if Moldova is still Balkans, I'm pretty sure it is, I guess. But if you compare to Romania, Bosnia, Serbia, Bulgaria, it's much better here. It's kind of like they had the best of the best, and they also have their own cuisine, and the prices are amazing. You can have a full course meal with 5, 6, 7 euros, and I'm not even talking about restaurants far away. I'm talking about restaurants right here in the city center. Good restaurants with table service and everything. So the food is good and the food is cheap, which makes it even better. And just like every post-Soviet country, they still carry a lot of the brutalist architecture from their Soviet era. You can take a look at this theater here right behind me, and you're gonna realize it's built like a fortress. It's wide, it's strong, it's imposing, but it's actually a fine arts place. It's a theater. And down there you have the presidential palace, which from this angle we can't see very well, but it is still big, imposing, strong. So it's an interesting mix, because you have some interesting, beautiful, delicate Orthodox churches right next to brutalist buildings, and in the other side you have a beautiful garden with trimmed grass and people super well dressed, walking around, full of smiles, hanging out with their families and friends. So I would say that Moldova is full of contrasts, and those are actually very interesting contrasts that you will only understand once you come here and see with your own eyes. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to come here and visit Moldova, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. See you on the next video.